Welcome to Vinyl Decal School, thanks for joining me. So in this video I thought I would go over why I love listening to podcasts to help my business grow, and also give you some recommendations for ones that you can try if you're also just starting a business or trying to grow one as well. So as much as I love YouTube for figuring out different tools and for getting tips of other makers and business owners, podcasts are my go-to when I need a little bit of business motivation or really want to do a deep dive into a certain topic. When I first started my business, I found a few podcasts that I really liked that were specifically about running a small business, social media marketing, and selling on Etsy. And I would just put them on whenever I was doing kind of design work that I didn't need to think a lot about, when I was cleaning the house or when I was out driving. And now I'm more in the thick of running it. I'll either find any that are relevant to specific projects that I'm working on, or anything I need help with, really. So for example, when I was thinking about doing my online courses, which I now have on Skillshare, I listened to a few different podcasts about running an online course. The one I listened to the most was called The Online Course Guy, and I got a load of great info from that, but I just kind of looked for episodes that I thought might be most useful for me. I also put podcasts on when I'm feeling a bit uninspired or feeling a bit down about self-employment or running a business, those days where you're kind of like, why did I do this? Usually if I put something on and I listen to someone else's story about why they're running their business, it'll give me that little bit of extra motivation. A good podcast, in my opinion, should be just like listening to or having a really good conversation with a friend or a mentor. And on that note, I think it's really important to find podcasts that really resonate with you. So there are a few out there that are super popular, like Gary V's, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss's, for example. And I'm sure they're full of like amazing info and would be super inspirational. They're just not really for me because I can't really relate to them and their messages. But they might be perfect for you. Just listen to 1 or 2 episodes of something and see if it leaves you inspired and wanting to learn more. And there are a ton out there, so I would be very surprised if you can't find one that you like. Also, just make sure they're up to date as well. There are a lot of podcasts out there that stopped creating content like a few years ago. And because of that, actually, some of the ones I listened to when I started my business are kind of no longer around, so I won't be sharing those. But there are plenty being created all the time. So there's always going to be something that is filled with new and innovative content that can help your business. So these ones are just a few that you could start with. And I listen to these on either Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. But there are other places you can find them too. So the first one is the Smart Passive Income Online Business and Blogging podcast. Bit of a mouthful, but worth a listen. Pat was initially very well known for his passive income blog, but this podcast has been running a long time and now covers pretty much anything and everything online business related. And it's got loads of great info about marketing and productivity and social media. And he has interviewed some really interesting guests. I just really like Pat's ethos. And he strikes me as being very honest and not super like hustle culture either, which I like. And he does 2 a week as well, so he's got a shorter one and then a longer interview style one. So depending on what type of podcast you prefer, there's something for everyone. The next one is the Gold Digger podcast by Jenna Kutcher. It's again another really great all-round business show, which is basically just about anything and everything you need to succeed. And again has some really inspiring guests on it. This is one of the ones I listened to a lot when I was first starting out, and it's really easy to scroll through and look for topics that stand out to you that you need some help with. Etsy success. This isn't really one of my faves because it doesn't have the best sound quality and it's quite information intense. But if you're quite new to selling on Etsy and you want to kind of figure out the algorithm and what you need to do on there to succeed, then this is a pretty short show and they don't post them that often. So they're quite easy to catch up on and they're worth checking out if you want to find something specific about selling on Etsy. How to Fail with Elizabeth Day. This is one of the most recommended podcasts I see from all sorts of different business owners. And it's probably because failing isn't discussed enough. And we see highly successful people and we compare ourselves to them. We don't really think about how they got there and what they had to go through to get there too. So hopefully listening to this will remind you to be kinder to yourself when you have failures, because there are some super well known and really successful people on there that have been interviewed. The next one is Feel Better, Live More by Dr. Rang and Chaji. Speaking of being kinder to yourself, this one isn't actually business related. It's more focused on health and well-being, but actually I find it super motivational, and it's my go-to if I'm feeling like really stressed and overwhelmed and need a bit of a reminder to kind of look after myself and not work too hard, because you can't pour from an empty cup after all. The next is TED Talks Daily and TED Business. So if I ever feel like I really need to learn something or need a little bit of inspiration, I'll often put a TED Talk on YouTube. And the TED podcast is great for this too. TED Talks Daily cover kind of any and every topic. So they're great if you want to just kind of improve your general knowledge. But TED Business is specifically for businesses, obviously. They are more often relevant for larger businesses and employees, I find. But if you have a scroll, there may be some speak to you, and they're quite good for kind of keeping up to date with what is going on generally in the business world. Online Marketing Made Easy by Amy Porterfield. This isn't actually just about online marketing, covers everything business related again, but Amy is particularly an expert in kind of building email lists, marketing strategy, and also online courses if that's something you might be thinking about in future. So it's really good if that's kind of the area of your business that you need to develop. On Purpose by Jay Shetty. This one again is not specifically business related, but it's just really good for helping to develop a more positive mindset. And Jay, who is an ex-monk, is like proper full of wisdom, and he also interviews people who have some like really interesting stuff and thought-provoking stuff to say. So this is another one I listen to when I need a bit of motivation. The Handmade Bosses Show. This is a newer podcast from Steph, who also has a YouTube channel and a load of great resources on how to succeed on Etsy. And although it's newer, it already has some great info on there specifically for running a handmade business, especially if you're just starting out. Social Media Secrets with Rachel Peterson. If you're already on Small Business TikTok, then you will definitely have seen Rachel on there. She has such great content about how to grow your business on social media, and she does the same on her podcast as well. And then just a couple of others that I've been listening to recently, again, not necessarily business related, but You're Wrong About. This is my current obsession. I've went back and started listening to it from the start because I love it so much. It just goes into deep dives about all sorts of historical news stories and urban legends and why we were wrong about them. And I just feel like it has really improved my critical thinking skills, and I'm not just blindly believing everything I read, which has kind of opened my brain up to thinking about other things differently as well. Then Radio Headspace. This is just another good one for health and well-being from the meditation app Headspace. They're just super quick little inspirational reminders to just take 5 minutes and be mindful if you're getting really stressed. They also have Sunday Scaries if you're someone who gets really anxious on a Sunday evening about the week ahead. And then once you've found a few that you like, another great way to find new podcasts is usually through podcast guests. So a lot of podcast people interview other podcast hosts and vice versa. So if there is one that particularly captures your attention and the interviewee has their own show, then check them out as they may become your new favourite. I'll add a list of all of the podcasts that I've mentioned on my website, and I'll link that in the description below. And please let me know in the comments if you have any other recommendations, because I love to find new ones. Hope you found that interesting and helpful. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe for more videos like this in the future.